up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thruline podcast, July 11th. Who had a great 4th? Crazy 4th. Not for me. I mean, mine was just, basic. Kids, barbecue. I was like, I'm going to make a vanilla cake with Cool Whip and strawberries and blueberries, because that's 4th of July to me. And I know none of my friends are going to make it. So I cranked one out. Someone hit me up on Instagram and was like, hey, is this the cake you're thinking about? Because I think I've been talking about it. And I was like, oh my God, thanks so much. Ran to the store, bought everything, texted, DM back and said, thanks for the inspiration, made it. And I ate that fuck out of it. It was unbelievable. So I hope you guys had a great 4th. We watched fireworks, driving home. That's the best, is just driving with the kids, get the windows down, like fireworks, fireworks. And then my neighbor set some off. And it literally... we live high on a hill, so you can see fireworks everywhere. It's like you're like in a war. It's like explosions going off anywhere. But I love it. J. Larson Comedy on social media, jlarsonComedy.com. I don't do anything on my website. It's just too much. It overwhelms me. I'll put dates. I do everything here. Anything you need to know is here. Or on Instagram. Which, speaking of which, Marco Island, August 15th through the 18th. Sunnyvale, California, September 5th through the 8th. Hartford, Connecticut, November 7th through the 9th. Laugh, Boston, Massachusetts, November 14th through the 16th. Vermont Comedy Club, December 12th through the 14th, and then New Year's Eve at Helium in Portland. Those are dates. I'm excited to get out there and see you guys. Big thanks to everyone who came out to see that Belly Room show in LA. Anytime you're in LA, I'm usually at the Comedy Store or at the Improv. That's where I'll have shows. I always post them. Or you can hit me up. Hey, I'm coming to town these dates. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Just do it week of. That's pretty much everything. We record a little surprise thing today. Solo podcast. Either way, look out for that. This week, today, for you, I'm excited because this podcast, it's very rare. I have people on. I know most of the people that I have on, and I have relationships with them. But this person I like is in a movie that I love. I talk a lot about it with her. She's super talented. She's in night school. She was on the show 24. She's awesome. Her name is Mary Lynn Rajskub. She also has a podcast that you can check out that's also on Starburns Audio. So if you dig this interview with her, go check out her podcast. Subscribe, listen to it. Let her know you heard her here on the Thruline. But she's awesome and super open, which most of our guests, like last week's Justin Martindale. If you're open, we're going to get a great episode, and she's the best. I love her to death, so please enjoy Mary Lynn Rajskub.
Everyone can see what project you're working.
I don't even. That's just because I have a table that's out there, and I bring it in here. This is we gave up our old office, so this is now my office.
Why there's an office thing?
No, I have I pull this giant table in for and so if I'm working in here. How great this kid is unbelievable. Anything you ask him to do. Yeah, I can do that.
When I looked at him, I thought I was yelling at him, and I thought I was just talking, but he has such a gentle vibe.
He's very gentle.
And I was like, oh God, I'm a monster. And I think of myself as a gentle person, but
I feel a lot of people think you're a monster. No, do you know my first memory of you was, remember I ran that show?
A lot of people think you're a monster is the best.
The first show, I used to do the show at World Cafe in Santa Monica on Main Street. You remember that little tiny room?
Yeah.
And the first time you came to do it, one of the waitresses was ducking down to to not be in the way of you, and you go, what do you think, no one can see you? And I was like, man, this chick's a monster.
Oh God.
That was so long ago.
I don't remember that at all. And I only remember going to that one time.
I think that was, trust me,
I
didn't have you back.
Here's
No.
Here's my journey in life. I feel like it, because that I was like so quiet and shy.
As a
that
kid?
Doing stand-up is like I'm discovering my inner rage, and then I'm like, oh, this is who you really are. that you've been stuffing inside. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta let the monster out and stop. It's almost like that I was paralyzed by fear, but it was a fake version of me.
Yeah. First
Like,
of all,
I'm actually, like, discovering my ambition, or, like, you know what I mean? When I first started doing stand-up, I had to learn how to be aggressive, but it's weird when you, like, marry what the inner, when you're discovering what your truth is, right?
yes.
Am I the person that's like,
No, but if you ever,
people can see you, can't see you?
if you were doing it as a joke,
Yeah.
but like you went to that, you played the character of this anger, which was like awesome. It had different levels to the idea. First of all, if you ever have a self-help,
Because, by the way, the waitress in that scenario is me all day long. Oh, sorry, can I clean up for you?
you're just projecting on her.
Yeah.
Assert yourself. You want to
Do
get
your
ahead?
job! Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
If you were going to do a self-help like seminar, it would be called Unleash the Monster.
Yes.
You know what's funny? When my son was in like the first, he has this preschool where they have like 8 classrooms, 1 through 8, you know, like for different age groups. And when he was in room 2,
Right.
he was very shy, and the teachers used to teach him like, you have to use your roar. Use your roar. And then like he got to a point where he could use his roar, because he's like, if you're gonna take a toy away, he'll just like let you take a toy. He's not a kid that's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's just not gonna be him. And then finally he got to the point where he's like, that's my toy, I was playing with it.
This kills me.
And it was like, nice job, bro, get that roar out there. Wait, so
Yeah.
when
It's so sweet.
I know, do you think you also, as like a let me ask you this, as a female comedian,
Yeah.
do you think you had to even assert yourself even more? Is that like something that you feel like you have to deal with or have dealt with?
No, I mean, yes and no. Who knows?
I mean, you started in alt rooms anyway, right?
Yeah, I started in alt rooms. I mean, that definitely factors in just because it's a male-dominated thing. But when you're on stage by yourself, it really is. It was more of a smaller point of. Once I was comfortable talking to the audience, my first thing I would do would be like, oh, like be really reactive to the point where I'm giving away. It took me a while to realize how you have to key into your own train of thought and drive it forward.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just delivering the jokes, it's having that thing that propels you to keep talking and dig into that, like your own ideas. Because my training, and definitely being a woman factored into it, just my whole life has been about, oh, I'm going to react to what's going on.
Yeah.
And stand-up is the opposite. Even if my thinking is reactive based or act outs or whatever, I still have to drive that forward as a performance.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I look at life, like when we're like, when I'm with people and we're having conversation, I like, you know, like when you go to talk at the same time as someone has to say, oh, I won't talk.
Yeah.
You ever been around these people? All right, let's take a breath and then start giving an idea, and I will too, but don't stop.
Okay. So really
the other
like
day
your
I was at this
neighborhood,
store
not the
and I was
beach, 'cause
thinking
it's
that
a good, I like
those people that are just like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep going. I was never that guy. I was always like, oh yeah, oh, okay. I used to look at like, I'll have a chance. So like, my relief was getting on stage because I was like, oh, now everyone has to listen.
Yeah.
I don't need to take a breath for anybody.
So when you get on stage, it's a similar thing. You're like, it's my time.
Yes.
And then that part of you just takes over and you just talk. You don't,
All that stuff where
you don't go back on. You don't second guess.
I don't think so. I mean, the only time I second guess is when it's not doing well. And you're
Right.
like, well, what is this?
I think I'm similar, that it's my time to talk, but I need to tap into that energy and take steps toward that. Because if something isn't working, I don't do it that much anymore, but I would go completely interior and be like, because I can deliver stuff dry and it'll work, but that's not good for my spirit. I'm self-sabotaging because I'll go, I don't know, like if the room isn't what I want it to be, I'll go like quieter and I'll still make it work. It's like a battle within myself, but I'm killing my own energy. You know, I don't have that good where you're tapped into it and you can add on because you're having so much fun.
Yeah. I was watching a clip the other day of me doing stand-up, and I went to my wife, I'm like, remember that thing I did? She's like, that was terrible. It was terrible. She was, slow down. I'm like, no, it was terrible. Like, I watched it, and I'm like, what do you do? Like, a joke didn't hit the way I wanted to, and then, like, so I didn't comment on it. I just kind of let it go, and then went another way, and then the energy stayed at that level, and then I didn't get it back till, like, 3 minutes later, and I was just, like, watching it, like, what are you doing?
Oh,
but that's why I never like to go back and watch. Do you like to go back and watch your acting? What about your acting?
Oh, acting, I'm used to it.
Was that what you started first?
Yeah, well,
well, I mean, I know you
I did performance art, and so when I moved...
Don't even try it. Don't even try to just skip over performance art. Were you in, a park doing mime and shit?
Well, close. I went to art school, and so...
Where?
In Detroit and San Francisco, the San Francisco Art Institute, which... By the time I got to San Francisco, it was like all these famous performance artists like Kieran Finley and Lydia Lunch, who were in the early 70s, and it's like, art with no materials.
Yeah.
Make a sculpture, but don't use stuff.
So you were what made you get into that kind of thing? Well, that's like progressive
Yes,
art.
It is. And weirdly, I was kind of mad at that school because they were so high concept and everyone was like, I'm a genius. And I was like, I hate you all. But earlier in my life, I did children's theater, which there wasn't much where I was from.
Mm-hmm. Where are you from?
Trenton, Michigan. But a friend of mine got me into like the Parks and Rec children's theater. And then I did acting in high school.
Okay, we're going to do kickball followed by Hamlet. Everybody, what is the Parks and Rec children's theater?
That's what I'm talking about. It was just one guy who put together the curriculum himself. He was great, but it was in the town theater, and he just kind of made it up, and he was great, and he made up a theater program, and he could,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would lip sync to musicals, and we would put on plays, and I was in Oompa and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I played Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, you did.
I played a street urchin and Oliver. It was great. But so I knew that felt good to me. It was like when I felt like I was dying inside, I needed to express myself, and that was very validating to me. And then I did that in high school, but I didn't want to go to college to be an actor.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't want to go to college at all. I like my two good friends were like, we got into good colleges, and I was like, oh, I forgot to. No, I wasn't college prep.
I wasn't either. I didn't even apply. I had a friend come over one day with all these applications, and she was like, all right, listen, this is what you need to do. You need to fill all these out.
So
these are the envelopes. And listen to me. We had to go to college. There was no option.
You just didn't bother doing it, and your parents didn't help.
No, it was just my mom, and I don't know why.
Oh, your mom, yeah.
I just don't, I think by me being the fourth, I have no idea, but I just remember this.
She thought you would follow suit.
I think she just, assumed at that point, like, oh, they just do it. I don't know who did it with my brothers and sisters, but, my friend came over with the applications, with the envelopes, stamps, was like, all right, here's the deal. Stamp them all. You have to fill these out. This essay or whatever, you have an essay. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, all right, you got to get that, whatever it was.
Yeah.
She totally helped me with all of it.
Yeah.
But if I could go back, I 100% probably, even though 3 of the best friends in the world I have are from college, I still think that, I wish I had just come out here at 18 and started learning.
God. That'd be nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, going for 5 years.
Yeah. We have that similar.
You did 5 too?
Yeah, I did. I think I took a year off to, have a boyfriend and travel and wait tables. It was a real good plan.
But where'd you
And
travel
anyway,
to?
I was going for a Bachelor of Fine Art. We went to Europe.
I mean, that's badass.
It was, but it was so on the cheap, and he was so not really cool that it was kind of more stressful.
Oh.
But it was, I'm glad I did it.
How long did you go?
10 days. 12 days.
I mean, I always get jealous of people like, after college, I just traveled for 4 months, and,
No, and I don't think I was really that person either.
I wish I was. But
I wish
wasn't.
I was.
Yeah.
I remember being on a campground in Spain with him in a tent and drinking. I didn't even really drink that much, but it was just what we were around, the culture. And then he's like, "Punch me in the nose," and I was like, "No."
What do you mean?
He thought it was funny, and then I really did it. And then I remember we didn't have the $20 to pay the campground, so we climbed over a fence in the middle of the night and like left the camp. Like that's the kind of trip it was.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a trip.
Yeah.
That sounds like
It was
a
hard.
runaway.
Yes, it was a runaway European trip.
Vagabond.
Yeah, it was somebody who couldn't grasp.
You guys just wanted to get away from where you were and thought, let's go to Europe.
Yeah.
And then got there and realized.
I think I was following him of like.
Was he older?
Not really. He was just had a bigger personality.
Yeah.
And I was like, he has all the answers.
Did you break his nose?
It was bloody.
Oh my god.
Because he kept like goading me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
You just whacked him in the nose?
Yeah, I think I was like, had a few play rounds. And he was like, come on, like really do it. And then I did it. And his nose started bleeding.
And was he like, you fucking bitch?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Take it if you want it, bro.
I mean, he wasn't. I think he just reacted big, but it wasn't. Then it
So were you even like looking at like museums and like sculptures and stuff like that? No, you were just like, let's go be alone,
trying to survive.
but in Europe.
And we also had like a tent, so we had to find food and we had to find a place because we couldn't afford
How much
hotels.
money did you go with?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Very little. Scary. We were staying in a tent.
Yeah.
We were doing like the Let's Go guide. Now that I haven't thought about this in forever, recovered memory, I remember going to places in the book that there were no longer campsites.
And staying there?
We're just on foot, walking to some place, and then you get there and you're like, oh, there's no place to like put up a tent here. Where do you go?
It's just under construction. It's like a high-rise building.
Yeah.
That's insane.
This is traumatic. I can't believe I did this.
I mean, I
a
think
lack of planning and like a lack of money and a lack of good ideas.
Yeah. See, that's why when we say we're not those people that we wish we were. Those people planned it. They knew where they were going. They looked into it. They had a cousin who had gone. Oh, you know, I have a relative who knows a guy who lives in Madrid, so we get to stay there for one night.
Yes.
He has friends that have a campsite.
Yes, or some forethought of if we're going to do something funky, we recoup at the cousin who has a place in Madrid. We'll get a shower there, or we'll get, you you have places to go to. We had nothing.
It sounds like a little bit of a nightmare just being trapped in Europe, because it's not like you went to like upstate New York from Detroit where you're like, let's just go home. You're there. You're like, no, the tickets.
Oh yeah, we had to go through with it.
Yeah.
I remember sleeping in the bushes in Calais. That's where the port town that you go on your way to Paris. You take the plane or the train. That's just the pub.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the middle of the night, and we were exhausted, and we just slept in the bushes like homeless people. So
in the tent, though.
I don't even think we bothered to put the tent up.
My God.
Yeah, I had like buried this memory.
You lived in Detroit. You could have just done all this in Detroit.
Yeah.
Good God, that's insane.
And I didn't even realize how insane it was until just this moment. I had buried it.
I wish it was like, after you had reached fame, people like, some Mary Lynn Rajskub sleeping in a bush out in, just on the outskirts of Paris recently. I don't know what she's up to.
It happens.
I don't know. I mean, that's pretty full tilt. But then you went to San Francisco. Were you like, now, because why were you going to college in Detroit anyway? You just had no money?
No money. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I thought about this recently too. I got into the Chicago Art Institute. That's where I wanted to go. Oh, because we were talking about college. I didn't really apply to like a good college, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to get a job. So I was like, I will go to art school.
Did you think at this point that acting could be an opportunity?
No.
No.
I always knew that I liked performing, but not in my wildest dreams did I think it would be a real thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get to I wanted to go to the Chicago Art Institute. I mean, I just like saw their brochure and I was like, oh, I go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Got in, could not afford it. Found an art school in Detroit, which was fantastic, and then I commuted and waited tables and put tuition on my charge card and paid it off.
Your charge card,
My charge card.
We're dated.
Hey.
What was the restaurant?
In Detroit?
Yeah, where you
it was called Fishbones. It was a New Orleans style restaurant. in downtown Detroit. And you had Mardi Gras beads when you arrived, and they had crawfish, boiled crawfish there.
Yeah. They do well?
Yeah. Oh, it was a total hub.
I waited tables for the longest time. Did you wait tables when you moved to LA?
I did. I couldn't, when I was in San Francisco, it was so highly competitive. That was such a scary time, such an amazing time, but so scary because there's so many young people.
Yeah.
Like, I got a minimum wage job at Delaware and Ice Cream. Like, that was, like, so scary. Because at least with waiting tables, you know you have, like, a little bit of scratch, right?
Yeah.
And that you can pick up
For
shifts
sure.
and all that.
Or it's a little bit of a illusion, though, because you're walking with cash, which is just danger, because you have that cash, you're ready to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
But that's because I heard in San Francisco back in the day, there were like more, like people made a living waiting tables.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like you could have a profession. Yeah,
that's right. Because when I say competitive, that's what you're following the thought through, which is, oh, these people aren't going to leave,
and they're pros.
Like there's no way to get into these restaurants.
Yeah.
So in LA, listen to this. I worked at the Hard Rock Cafe. That used to be at the Beverly Center.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for that reaction. That's exactly right.
Oof.
Tough times.
Yeah.
I remember walking to, I lived in West Hollywood. I didn't have a car. I had my uniform in a Ralph's paper bag. I was walking to the mall to the Hard Rock Cafe, and this huge monster black SUV pulls up next to me. I saw you at whatever bar. You're hilarious. Had seen me doing my open mic alt rooms. I was like, thanks.
It was your first sighting, though.
Yeah, walking to my $3.75 job per hour job at the Hard Rock Cafe.
I mean, still legit. I mean, I can't remember the first time I got recognized. I had been on TV. I had done stuff.
Oh my God, it was the greatest and the worst all wrapped up in one.
Yeah.
You know? Like, wow. Okay, bye.
You're like, making my way downtown.
It was great.
Because this is one thing that I've been like dying to ask you about. Is Punch Drunk Love.
Yes.
You understand how much I love that goddamn movie?
No.
I mean, it's like one of my all-time favorite movies.
I'm sure we talked about it, but I'm
a
little bit blown away.
Crushed in that.
I love that.
How did the hell? I have to know how it happened. Had you already done Mr. Show?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because I never watched. I've
already done Mr. Show. Already done Larry Sanders. What was I?
Because people categorize. I mean, it is a comedy, but you're like, it's dramatic acting, don't you think? I mean, what was that?
Yes.
I got to know everything. I need to know the audition. I need to know what.
My brain tripped down the timeline. Punch Drunk Love actually helped me get the part in 24. But Punch Drunk Love was way before 24. Okay, so Punch Drunk Love happened because I used to perform at Largo.
Yes.
The old one on Fairfax.
I know it well.
And,
I've only performed there like twice, and Swartzen brought me to perform there to meet Flanny and stuff. And Swartzen had just given me Bernie Brillstein's book. He wrote this book, and it said I had just read this piece in it where it's like, you have not made it in this business until you walk through a kitchen to get to a show. And when we went to Largo, we parked like down the street and came in through the alley, through the kitchen
that was
to go to the green room.
Good times.
And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And those lineups used to be like Patton, Silverman, Brian Posehn, Swartzen, Galifianakis, these crazy, insane
Rajskub.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Insane. All right, so why was Paul Thomas Anderson coming there? Because he was friends with like Amy Mann and shit? That's so cool.
He was friends with Flanagan, John Bryan, who does his scores for his movies. And
he'd already done Magnolia?
Out there. Yes.
Crazy.
I went to, because I was dating John Bryan, I remember going to the premiere of Boogie Nights. That was, like, exhilarating.
Yeah.
I was sitting there like, I mean, that movie at that time, and at that time in my life, I was just like, what? Like, my mind was blown. My heart was exploding wide open.
Yeah, that movie was insane.
Here, seeing this at this point in my life, it was like so.
So then you knew him. So when you went through audition, were you going right into like, was he in the first audition?
So you know, Flanagan, and I kind of feel like I was like a little mascot in a way, because they would, for some reason there was, I don't know why, this is such a weird memory, there was some suit, like an Evel Knievel jumpsuit and like a space helmet, but yeah, I guess it was just a motorcycle helmet. It sounds totally dumb now, but in that moment they'd be like, Mary Lynn, like go at the comedy night, put this on and like go on stage. Like shit like that, where I'd be like, okay, and I would just go do stuff. So I think Paul had seen me in these shows.
That was that art school background, being like, I'll make this into something.
And I never knew what I was doing, because I didn't have the pressure of, I knew I was being funny, but I didn't know why. I was always like improvising, and it was always like, yeah, I had the rules of performance art, where like there is no wrong answer. And that was the environment where they, you know, for whatever reason, I fit in there, and like they enjoyed me doing that stuff.
That's the rule of performance art. Is there's nothing, it's Dada. Is that what it is? Like everything is art, no matter what it is, good or bad.
Well,
because that would make a lot of sense for like, especially the way I used to see you do stand up.
Yeah.
Because I used to see you do stand up in alt rooms, and then when it wasn't until like 7 years ago at the Comedy Store, I was like, wait a minute, you're a Comedy Store comic? You know what I mean? Because I always associated with the alt world, and then I would see you there, and I'm like, oh, this is like different. You had like two different kinds of stand-up, I feel like.
Yeah, this has been, it's a weird, like my whole career has flip-flopped, because to me, I'm like, I'm more skilled now.
Yeah.
I know what I'm saying. My skill set is stronger. But the business for me back then, I was like fresh and new and weird, and people were like,
what is
that's awesome. And now I'm like, hey man, look at how much better I've gotten. Look how much I know my voice now. And everyone's like, good luck. Good luck with your podcast.
Not feeling it.
Good luck on the road. But yeah, that's been because I never quit comedy, but I was so socially, and like I didn't know my own thoughts. So everything was like experimenting and saying something different each time.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, finally, oh, that's my joke structure.
You're crafting jokes instead of just letting yourself be the joke.
You know, incredible for me personally. But like I said, it's like, oh, it's such a weird, like, backwards, like, oh, so I'm a road comic.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. But you also, like, are defined by so much of being in a dramatic TV show, which...
Yeah.
Don't try and get away from all this, because I want to know about, did you have to audition for Punch Drunk?
Oh, yeah, okay, so he had seen me, Paul Thomas Anderson had seen me at Largo, you know, I was an
So at the time
he'd
done Magnolia, he had done Boogie Nights. Was Boogie Nights his first movie?
No, Hard Eight was his first movie.
Okay.
He did like, no, Boogie Nights was before Magnolia, and then he did a whole short, long film thing about the character Dirk Diggler before, like he sort of was developing that character before. Anyway.
Either way, he was established as F when you did yes. Because he blew up off Boogie Nights, and then Magnolia was unbelievable, and that was like a total... I mean, have you watched Magnolia lately?
No, I haven't watched it in a while.
Whew! That movie is just like, you know, there's music going the whole time, and like everyone's living this different story, and you're following it all at the same time, which is this crazy thing that he does.
Yes.
And that movie is just, blows me away every time I see it.
I remember being at a party at Kathy Griffin's house. I was more than an acquaintance with him. We were good friends.
Yeah.
It was a small group of people. I remember him talking about, like, very formulating the idea of Magnolia and just saying it out loud, like the basic idea. Like, I'm gonna have all these different characters with intersecting stories, but they're all different stories. I remember him saying that. Is that weird?
I mean, no, it's amazing that, like...
Awesome, dude. You're making me... I'm having a lot of, like, recovered memories today.
Welcome to Recovered Memories.
Hey.
But no, I feel like it's just refreshing to hear you say that about a guy like Paul Thomas Anderson, because I think so much of, like, when you have an idea, if you're not, like, crazy established like that dude, and it's an outlandish idea, people will be like, oh, yeah! I wonder how, like, were you guys all like, oh my god, that sounds amazing? Or were you guys like,
I saw him recently after, I forgot the name of the film that he just did. I saw him recently, and I have the opposite, where I see him not as a normal person, and I'm like, And I'm like, how do you make that? And he's like, I'm just a normal guy.
Oh,
Highly skilled.
Yeah, he's one of my all-time
focused,
favorites.
Normal guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes through the process
like anyone else.
Yeah.
So you auditioned, you went in.
I don't know. Okay, so sorry, back to that. He asked me to, was it his house or Adam Sandler's house? Paul Thomas Anderson was like the coolest guy to me in this regard. He goes, can you come and just help me? I want to read through this. You'll be like the part of the sister.
The table.
And whatever language he used, it was just sort of this understanding. I don't know if I knew quickly after the fact. I was like, oh, this is my audition, but he's being fucking cool about it because he knows me. So he did it because I was this weirdo. He didn't really know my acting ability. So I didn't have to go straight audition, but he did have me go through a process of reading it with him. And then I think I came to another casting and was reading with other people. I remember being at some casting session, but he sort of had his own process with me to make sure that.
Yeah, which sounds exactly what a director, I feel like, and I don't know, but I feel like a good director, or an amazing director in his case, would be like, oh, if I know what I'm looking for, I'm going to treat each audition differently and approach, because you can approach people differently.
Those are my best jobs ever, by the way.
Of course they are.
People who have a vision, know what they want. That's why this whole, now I'm switching gears and talking about Hollywood in general. It's so boring, but those type of auditions where you're I know that they don't know what they want. And I know I'm just going to go there and be an option, and that hurts my soul. I'm not saying that I'm special than anyone else, but you have to know your own special ability and go, this is what I look like, this is what I sound like.
You're wasting everyone's time and your own. There are times when I get auditions and I call my agent, I'm like, why am I doing this, dude? And I'm nowhere near as established as you. Either way. Okay, so you did that, the table read, because I just can't get over it. I just keep thinking about that movie because it's not I mean, there's so many scenes where you're following Sandler around and that music going. Yeah. I mean, I know that you're not listening to it while you're doing the scene, but it's a specific. How the fuck did he get you to a point where? Did he tell you all right, you need to be persistent. I want dead face. I want you to be because you're why are you touching that? Who are these people? Why are you wearing that suit? Where's that Jello from? That movie is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
But you're constantly so tell me how that happens. Because I look at that and I'm I wonder if he knew exactly what he wanted so much that he said, all right, walk at this pace, talk at this pace, do everything.
It's a combo. I mean, he's such an actor's director that it's mutual where he knows what he wants, but he also appreciates what that person is bringing to it. And you can see that in all the actors that he likes.
Of course, yeah.
Someone like John C. Reilly is the perfect, where he's an actor who is super directable, but he also brings his own complete thing to it.
Yeah.
So it's a combo of that.
See,
it
I've
seems
always,
like that's
yeah,
what Paul loves.
I always wanted to direct, and I remember I've only directed a couple things, but I remember one time I was working with this line producer who was he was I had never directed anything outside of some shorts that I had done, and these were shorts that I was doing again, but I had a budget and everything. So I had this guy who was my lead producer, and I was like, will you call action and stuff? Because I was acting it as well, and he's like, yeah. And then I wasn't getting something that I wanted, and I was like, can I just give a line read here, or how do I finesse this? Because I don't want to give a line read, I want her to just get it the way I want to get it. And he's like, well, we've done 5 takes, and if it's not what you want, you could give a line read if you want. I'm I really don't want to. And I didn't. I was I went over and I was like, well, just think of it like this, what if, and I tried to give a scenario, and then we got it.
And it helped? Did it?
What helped?
Did you saying that change?
Yes, I feel like I got her to a place to get what, because I've worked with some directors where I'm oh, I don't even think our acting matters. They're trying to get their story out visually, depending on what it was. David Lynch, I was I don't really think he cares how I act at all. He's oh, we need you to say these things to get me to this place, and this is.
Really?
I kind of felt it, but I don't know.
Where were you with David Lynch?
Twin Peaks.
No big deal.
The original.
So he didn't direct you?
Of course he did, but I didn't have a huge role, but I just felt like, he does 1 and 2 takes and then moves on.
Yeah.
And I think for him, his is like this grand story with a huge arc, and for him, it's like we need to get these information in order to get us to places, and the director has so much more to manage besides your acting.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I wonder, like.
Well, I think it depends. I mean, certainly in the case of Punch Drunk Love, we did a ton of takes, and all that stuff was very deliberate on his part, but also very collaborative. That what you're talking about, the walk and the subtext of like all that emotion and all that character stuff. I mean, he really plays around in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like in the sake of Twin Peaks, it probably was. You have a look, you have a sound, but some of that is like not offensive because he's like, yeah, I trust you're gonna do.
Fucks. I was like, whatever you want. Bro.
Yeah, but I think that's like not because they don't care or it doesn't matter. It's just because they're like, yeah, I know that's like why you're hired to do this thing, and certain things don't require a lot because you're maybe not doing, you're not turning the plot or the emotion. You're not making switches that need to be seen in a certain rhythm during that scene.
Totally. Okay, so you're working with Adam Sandler on a movie, Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
Were you intimidated like crazy? Because he was huge. I mean, huge at that point.
I wasn't intimidated, weirdly. I started to get intimidated by the amount of takes we were doing. I was probably more intimidated by Emily Watson than I was Adam Sandler.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though she was like, couldn't be sweeter. And Adam definitely has a big personality, but I don't know. I'm pretty good at like, it's that reactive thing. Like
finding your
same
space
thing
where
with
to
like being around Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, that was a whole different scenario altogether. Weirdly, with Paul Thomas Anderson and Adam Sandler, even though it was like, it was a challenge, it was but it felt like comfortable. I was like, we did so many takes, that was intimidating, but it felt good to me. I was like, I understand sort of what the parameters are here.
Yeah. Even
though it was a challenge for me because I wasn't good at expressing like anger at that time or having that like layer to the performance. But, like, I remember my first day on 24, I was like, ugh, like, this is an hour-long drama. The set runs like a film set. The tone of a show like that, I was just like, oh God, like, where am I right now? You know what I mean? Like, fitting into that world.
Were you afraid you were going to fuck up because you put your foot in your mouth trying to do something funny?
I'm not trying to do something funny, but just sticking out, which I did, which over the long term was why it worked, because I did stick out, and I did fuck up on the first day in a big way. Because I don't like to study, and I'm a quick study, and so I learn my lines. And like I said, I'm more respectful of the process now. Not because I didn't care, but because I just didn't know. I was like from the streets, and I was like, yeah, I got it. Like, let's go. You know? And
hold on a sec, because that show too is very specific, quick rhythm, right? It's got to be, you got to have
that's what I'm saying. When you step on that set, you're just like, oh shit. And I saw day players. I was like, oh no. Because sometimes people have to come at things at their own pace. And you don't have the luxury of that. Especially if you're like a bad guy that comes in. I always just feel so bad for those people because it's like, oh, they don't know what the temperature is on this set. They don't know the rhythm. They just only know their own process, and now they've got to come in and be within this whole language of this world that's been built up, right down to the way the camera moves, and just the rhythm of, it was always faster than you think it would be. And my first day on that, first scene was with Kiefer, and I had to talk a lot. He was like, I think he was on heroin as part of an undercover, like, so that they wouldn't detect him. So he did heroin with, like, the bad guys. And so in the scene, I'm walking in on him, like, putting his kid away. It's always, like, a level of intensity. And I walk in and I just ask him for the thing or tell him the thing, like some technical thing. And I do the first couple takes. And I also didn't understand how the coverage works on a show like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I just
where the camera's getting you from.
Or also how long it would take in between. You just don't know. You're not in the rhythm at all. So I do it, And then they go away to like relight, and they come back like 25 minutes later, and we go to do it again, and it is completely disappeared from my mind because the stuff I was saying was unnatural and technical and wasn't like normal language.
Yeah.
So, and I had never had that experience before of like having to, you know what I mean? I'm like a computer genius. So having, I thought I had it and I did not have it. And it was like, it left my memory.
So you had to relearn it?
And it was action, and I went, and it would not come out of my mouth. And I got like hot, and I was fucking up the take. Time is passing, the whole crew.
Money's getting
dollars spent. Going out the door.
Yeah.
This is my little bitch. This is her big break. She can't do it. And then I had to go sit in the corner and just like drill it and repeat it. And I finally got through it, but it took. I blew a lot of takes. And then like way after the fact, like the next day, the director or producer was like, I don't think he was a director at the time. He's like, yeah, that happens to everybody. Like he totally, but they didn't let me off the hook in the moment. Not they didn't let me off the hook. I think it was just
but there might have been no time or space.
Yeah, like let's just focus on. And then we kind of laughed about it after the fact. But it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get fired.
Woo! That sounds like the anxiety.
Right?
Because I can just picture the set and the anxiety that I would feel if I like. Oh man.
It's already established, by the way, because I started at season 3, so it was already at the height. It's this hit show, and they've got it down, like how they are doing it.
You roll it.
Cuckoo Birds rolls in.
Can I ask? I want to go back to Punch Drunk Love again because again.
Yes.
I mean, I love that movie. Remember that scene where I don't think it's at your house, your sister's house, where you have the dinner scene and Sandler throws the chair through the window. Did you guys do all that?
Oh yeah.
His name was Brian, I think. Was it Brian?
I don't remember.
What the fuck,
no. Barry.
What the fuck, Barry? Right when that happened, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I can't get
Yeah.
I mean, without all going on,
I
mean, being in and around all that shit. Were there moments when you like? Were you like so in it because it was happening?
Yes.
That you were just like, oh, okay, yeah, we just did that scene, or would you go back to your trailer and be like, I can't believe this. This is
well, when something happens like that, and it's like what's the word?
Sauce making of a pizza?
Sauce. Yeah, that's actually what I'm saying. I was going to say culmination, that's not the right word.
Yeah.
When everything comes together in that way, in that moment, and you're working on it, and you're specific, and like that, some kind of magic like that happens, you feel it. Like, you feel it. It's like an electric current. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was good. That was it's within the confines of what we're doing, but that unexpected, those little moments, but they're within the rules of the scene, right? We all know our parts, but then when something like that happens,
and like
it's completely orchestrated, but at the same time, there's like that room for that magic that you don't.
But that was
exactly.
supposed to happen, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying like that reaction that quickly, in that rhythm at that space.
I just remember because it's
like the sisters, you're just like, like some certain takes.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, for sure. I love when you know it. You're like, oh, that's the one. Because when on the Twin Peaks set, I remember we're sitting there as me and Colin. I'm blanking on his last name. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who plays the lead detective. Oh, okay.
How do you like that?
I love it. So we're sitting there, and then in the scene, Naomi Watts is going to come out, but David Lynch is like, all right, so I want you guys to get out the limo, stand here. An owl, I'm going to cue you with an owl sound, and I want you both to look right and follow an owl. We're going to put it in post, and then Naomi's going to come out, blah, 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 and we're like, all right. I'm kind of like laughing that like David Lynch is telling us this. Like in my head, I'm like, this is like ridiculous. And then he goes action, and then you just hear from over here, woo, woo, and I'm like, David Lynch. I'm like watching David Lynch just made an owl sound. I was like, this is insane. Why is David Lynch doing that? And you're like, I love it when you're like, did Paul Thomas Anderson treat that set as if it was like a short film? Like, in watching David, I'm like, oh, this is just who he is. He's just a regular guy who's like, yeah, I'll do the owl sound. Why not? We need an owl sound. Where you're sitting there like, this is so crazy. Like, he's doing the owl sound. You know what I mean? Was it like that, or Were there moments where you're like, oh, we're doing whatever it takes to make this scene work?
Yeah.
And Paul Thomas Anderson is like, yeah, we'll just do that instead of doing X.
Oh yeah, I think it's both things at the same time, where it's just like nuts and bolts, and you're totally comfortable. But on the other hand, you're with this person who's like this magical visionary, and he does command a certain amount of, I don't want to say respect, like that sounds so formal, but like he sets the tone on his set for sure. And there's a huge difference of the sets that I've been on, like when you are. Like, you know, you're on the set, and then there's, like, the outskirts where there's, like, transpo and, like, all the furniture, the equipment that's, like, you're farther away from set, right, wherever it is. I could feel palpable, like, he set the tone that every person is working together, at least to me. He might not be, I don't know how conscious he is of this. I'm just saying my experience was like, oh, they know they're working on a Paul Thomas Anderson film. This feels different. The focus is different. The temperament of like his care and what he puts into it sets the tone for the whole place, while at the same time he's an approachable, cool guy, but he's one of those people where it's like, yeah, it's his vision, he's the boss, we're all part of it.
But he's all, yeah, no, I know exactly what I think, and that's not just something that is happening on film sets, that's happening in office places, that's happening in restaurants you've worked in.
Yeah.
It's when people are good leaders and they set a structure in place of like, hey, this is how it's, hey, as long as everyone does their job, we're going to have fun, everyone can communicate to each other, there's no
Should
ego.
we open a restaurant?
Let's do it right now. I'll be much more successful than I am in this field. But no, 100%. Like, I've felt it on many sets, and it's like, it's refreshing in a way to just be like, oh, wow, look at this. Everyone...
Because there's a purpose, and everybody's a part of it. Yeah, and everyone's bought in.
It's like a sports team. When the sports team is successful, it's because everyone's trusting. You trust everyone to do their job. You hire them because they can do their job.
Right.
Like, that's the... I've always said that, like, with... You know, in different writing projects, I'm like, well, yeah, we're here to do our job. That's like when you watch a great film and someone has... Do you remember No Country for Old Men?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Javier Bardem stops at that little gas station and he flips the coin with the guy?
Yeah.
And that old guy is like, sure is no way. There is no part of me, as many times I watch that movie, that I think that guy's an actor. I'm like, he's not an actor. This is just happening. They rolled in here, they brought the cameras around, he was there, this happened just the way it was. And you're like, nope, that guy had the smallest role in that movie.
Yes.
And he was so fucking unbelievable that he like crushed it, and it was like, you know, everyone did their job.
And I wonder if it had the feel for him, how you're saying, like, yeah, I just did it, like, without, you know, I wonder how much you wonder, you could be like flying along and be like, how many takes, how did they get that performance, or was it just, how much of it was just there already?
Yeah. But I mean, that dude, Javier Bardem, stepped into a character, which is what I felt like you did when you did Punch Drunk, because I've seen you in other stuff, and you're like, oh, you're different people. You know, like some actors, they play a person. You know, that's what they do. You changed into a different person, it felt like, in that. You know, otherwise the movie wasn't great.
Should we make a movie?
Yes.
Should we call some investors today?
And call it...
Should we go down to the marina and get some cash?
You think there's a lot of cash in the marina? I always want to do a web series called The Marina, because marina people are just like different folks. They like live in marinas, you know, people that like live on boats.
I don't, but I can imagine.
I always wanted to live on a boat. I chose a condemned house instead. You know, I did that for a while. Boat living, that never intrigued you?
Sounds terrible. It's making me have flashbacks of my camping trip.
Well, I mean, it sounds a little like it, but if you get like a nice boat for a decent rate,
Bar City,
on a good slip,
Bar City. You're just always around water. Don't you ever just want to be like completely dry?
Yeah, I am all the time. But what I'm saying is, if you're living on a cool boat in the marina,
thumbs down.
What if you met a guy and he was like, hey, you want to...
Immediately follow him.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
This is me now.
Catalina?
Pulling a fish out of my ear. This is me now. Seaweed out of my teeth.
Did you ever have like a crazy living experience when you moved to LA? Or like, where were you living when you first moved here? Did you know anybody?
I do, actually. I moved here from San Francisco with $200, no car, and I lived in Sherman Oaks. Imagine coming to LA and the first place you haven't seen anything else, you're going by foot and you get dropped off in Sherman Oaks. Before the internet,
Yeah.
don't have a car. I'm like, this is LA. Living in a house that these 3 older male comedians, their manager was paying for their house. So it was like a flop house for comedians. And I lived there, and I remember the toilet overflowed, and it was just like squishy carpet, and nobody cleaned it up, and there were Cheez-Its, and there was a lizard in the back. I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Were the comedians we would know?
There was this guy, Dave and Lenny, from New York. Yeah, they I don't know what happened.
Who was the manager paying their rent?
I'll tell you who it was. It was, at the time, I mean, I think he's still their manager, Tim Allen's manager. So it was Tim Allen, Drew Carey, at the height when they were...
I know exactly who that is.
I think he either... I don't know if it was his house at one point, but it was just like a rental that he, for business purposes, would let people stay, I guess. I didn't really understand it. I'm kind of making this up after the fact. But it was like, these guys are in town. That's what it was. They probably were in town for like a writing gig.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I have this house, like you can stay there. And then my friend Jeremy Kramer, who was a fixture of the good friend on the alt scene. So he was a straight up comic. And I think that's what it was, is they would get these like freelance writing gigs and then they could just stay in the house.
Yeah. And then he probably took the house and had the production pay him for the rental.
Yeah. And that was beyond my understanding. But again, good podcast. A lot of memories, putting things together. But yeah, I stayed there. And I remember the first time, I think it was...
What made you think $200 was enough money?
I didn't... It was just...
You're like, that's it, I have
no
to go there?
Yeah. I had no choice. I would have had $200 in San Francisco or $200 in LA. What difference?
And what did you just... Had you
I
graduated?
was done in San Francisco. I had graduated. I was like, there's no purpose to me to be there. I want to go do shows in LA. I want to do live shows. I think, I swear to God, I don't think Blaine Capatch would remember this. I think it was Blaine Capatch's car. He had a red, small hatchback. I don't know what kind of car, but I remember being in Sherman Oaks, driving over Laurel Canyon, getting to the bottom. Imagine, all you've seen is Sherman Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
I drive halfway down Laurel Canyon, I was like, I get to the bottom, Sunset Boulevard, I was like, what?
I know.
This is LA! And that's the first time I understood where I was.
I did like one of the...
Went to clubs there.
I did the same, I was working a temp job in Massachusetts with all women. It was like they did a interior design.
Why do I love this so much?
That's what I was doing.
This sitcom.
It was an interior design company that ran a trade show in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And I was there, I worked there, temp job, but I worked next to these,
This is your sitcom, bro?
I know. I'm next to these 2 women, and anyway, so that's where I was working, and then I was working...
Wait, this was temp for you?
Yeah, but
you
it's
did,
like a full-time
office stuff
temp.
Okay.
After college. I did a bunch of stuff, but this was leading up to moving to LA. I was working there, and then I was working nights waiting tables. So I was there. So I remember when I got to LA, I got to Sunset Boulevard, I pulled into a gas station over by almost in Los Feliz, and I got on a payphone and I called the work office, and I was like, "What's up, ladies? I'm in LA." Yeah, they were like, "No way!"
Oh God.
It was crazy. It was so crazy, so weird that when you get to Sunset Boulevard, no matter where you are in the world, you know that that name is this iconic place.
Crazy.
That street.
So fun.
Yeah, and then I ended up living in Thai Town and then moving to Venice, way above my pay grade. And
You started in Thai Town and then went to Venice.
I knew I wanted to live in Hollywood.
So who was in Thai Town? Or was it just you found a place
I
there?
found a place. That was the
Were
only
you
place I
renting
could
a room
afford.
or a place?
I had a studio.
Okay.
$500 a month.
That adds up.
Yeah.
And
So
a car.
I bought a car in San Diego,
There you go.
and then it died when I got to LA. So I didn't have enough money, so I went to this used car dealership, and I was like, "Hey, do you have anything cheap?" And they were like, "We have this one car. It's a trade-in. We'll sell it to you for $1,800." And I moved to LA with $3,200, and I had spelled first and last. It was $400 a month I paid. It was $8, so I was already down to 26. No, down to 24. And then I bought the car for $700 in San Diego, so I was at 17. And then I bought furniture and stuff like that. So I was like, I can't pay straight up $1,800. They're like, well, we can't guarantee anything on the car, but you can pay us month to month. And I was like, okay. And I bought a 91 Geo Metro convertible.
You totally
for like
negotiated that. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. But I probably paid like $29, because I had to pay it over like installments.
Shit.
But that thing, I remember I was so proud of it, and my friends from San Diego came up because they knew I was going to need help with the car. And it was raining when I bought the car. And I go, check this out, how cool is this thing? And they're like, you got it, dude! You know, like, you just had an adventure, so everything that you're doing is yours, because you bought it, you found it, you navigate it. It just makes it that much more special. So they're looking in through the passenger side, I'm sitting in the driver's seat, I'm like, look, wipers are right here, and I hit the, like, you know, there's these 3 buttons, like off, medium, and high, or whatever. So I hit medium, and the off button goes, boom, and shoots out the door, and they start dying, like, this is your ride? I'm like, this is my ride. And
can't turn the wipers off now.
Don't need them. And then the top broke, like...
Wait, what kind of car was this?
A Geo Metro convertible. So the top broke at some point. So when it was a stick shift. So I would have to like hold it in the rain. I'd have to hold it like this and then shift. That's when I started doing stand-up, and I'd be going to like M-Bar and doing those shows all over in that side of town. And the car would be like soaking wet inside. I'd have to put towels down just to get to like gigs. It got
Did it start
towed.
to smell? You probably don't even remember it. Like, that was the least of my concerns.
Yeah, no, it wasn't terrible because it would just air out and dry out in Venice. You know, I would drop the top during the day and it would dry out, and then eventually I got rid of that. And then I knew this kid I worked with, one of the busboys, like would buy old cars and fix them up, and I bought 3 cars from him, and I had a rental with him.
Dang.
Yeah, we had like this. When I bought a car from him, I would buy a warranty from him as well. I'm like, all right, so for like a year, this is covered. And he's like, yeah, and he covered for a year. And then if it needed to be fixed, he'd throw me another car to drive while he fixed it, so I'd have a rental.
Yeah, that's great.
It was the best. I mean, like, we fucked around, like we were kidding. Where I was like, no, man, it's under warranty. And he'd be like, oh, come look at it. And then he would come. I bought a Buick LeSabre from him. Yeah. That he called a LeSabre. He goes, I have a LeSabre.
Hell yes.
I was like, bro, that's a LeSabre, bro.
LeSabre.
So when you were here, how long after living in that dump house before you like had a break?
I
feel like you didn't struggle long.
I started to get work probably 2 years.
Yeah. Acting. Yeah. See, you still treat acting and auditioning with like such respect and hard work that to me, I'm like, because I always see you posting like going to an audition, and I'm like, man, you work it. You like...
Dude, now more than ever.
Like, was night school an audition?
Yes, it was.
That's crazy. You crushed that too, by the way.
Thank you.
You and Al?
I can't believe I'm auditioning. My ego is like, how do I not?
What do you guys need me to do? Yeah. What do I have to prove to you guys?
Here's me in a business suit.
Yeah.
What are you? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But you
might be over.
Can't be.
I think I got a lot to give.
I think you got a lot
you know, I can only do it. I have to like check in with myself. I'm like, does this make me want to hurt myself or hurt others?
Yeah.
Do I have the energy to put myself through this? And it's really, you know, I don't know.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So let's go to Fantasy World. If you weren't doing this, did you have any like fantasy jobs that you would want to do?
No, I'd probably go back to like art school. I'd like be a painter and like get rescue puppies and like just. I ran into this woman. She has in her house. We used to board our dog with her. She lives up in Woodland Hills. I ran into her at Starbucks and I was like, it's like 10:40. She's like, hey. She's getting her iced coffee with like whipped cream and caramel. She's like, hey, what's up? And totally has like dog rescue in her house. I was like, she's just coming down from the doghouse. And she's like, what's up? Like, just her energy's all...
Doggy?
Yeah, I've just been with the dogs.
Yeah.
But could you imagine? I'm just, like, painting, and I'm like, hey, buddies! Like, the only conversation I have for, like, 6 days in a row is just with animals.
With dogs.
And I'm like deep into an abstract painting. I've made up my own language. It's just with color and texture. I don't have to talk to anybody. I just got my little buddies.
And do you like that or not like it?
That's my fear. Is that I kind of love it.
Oh
But
my God.
I also hate her because I want to congratulate the lady that's on stage and is like, this is what I think about stuff, you guys. Like, I work really hard to find her.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose her. That's my fantasy, but that's also like all is lost. If you see me and I started an animal rescue, please pull me out of there.
Yeah, because
And go like, going to Starbucks is not getting out of the house. Like, I just went to Starbucks when I go back though.
I love that she has this such naturalistic life up there in the hills, and then she comes down and it's whipped cream with caramel latte. I have that, like, do you remember the movie Pollock?
Yeah.
With Ed Harris,
Yeah.
when he's like painting in that barn with
Is
a
it your
fire
fantasy
going.
to be that?
Oh, not to, I mean, I don't, my brother's an artist, and
Yeah.
he's super artistic, so as a kid growing up, it was always, oh, you don't do art, that's what your brother does. Like, you know, and I'm not very artistic, you know, like, I love architecture, like, I love,
Should we start an artist company?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I know some land that we
I
can,
know some land.
that we could
Gotcha.
appropriate.
You like architecture.
Yeah, so like I like shapes and I like lines. You know what I mean?
I get it.
But I cannot draw. Like I love geometry.
Yeah.
Like math was like my thing. I loved it. But I would never. I can't like. You know, I can't draw that bear. Or I can't.
Yeah,
draw
but that's
a
totally
face.
valid. You can have geometry-based art. I like that for you. You know what I mean?
I think I
and then
found my
people would be
calling.
like, "Can you draw?" And you'd be like, "I don't need to draw. Look at my art."
Dude, I hire people to draw, bro.
Yeah.
I do lines,
Yes,
son.
that's right. I do the overall geometry.
It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle.
I
So
like
nothing.
that.
You have nothing.
Like a.
No backup. Like, is there anything that you look at outside of being a dog? Like, put it this way. My fantasy jobs are firefighter,
Yeah.
fantasy job. Restaurant owner, fantasy job.
Oh, I'd be like a.
Living on a farm, fantasy
Ooh.
job. Like, just being on a farm running like an apple orchard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to run it. I mean, I just don't want to be picking all day. But I mean, I could run like the, you know, like every
I'd
farm
like to be
has
like
like a little
Brian
shop.
Grazer. Like, I took a general with him once, and he's just like, hey. Like, he's just like that guy who's like, I was surfing, and then now I'm executive producing thing. I'm like the ideas guy.
Is that how he
He's
does?
not in the room.
Yeah.
He's just synthesizing things and having good ideas at the right time to the right people, wearing nice clothes,
Yeah.
having like objects to art. Like, this is my whim. This inspires me. And just like, maybe he writes, but it's like, I just had this cool idea today. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here
Yeah,
writing.
of course. Well, who doesn't
15
want to be
pages.
that guy that
Yeah,
doesn't have to do the work but gets all the credit?
that's a fantasy.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to
that's
be a dancer. I'd like to.
okay. Ballet or tap or what are we talking?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Oh.
I'd like to be like Beyonce type of dancer.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you get down a little in night school.
Yeah,
Go-
my twerk on.
go through
Thanks
that-
for noticing.
that line. Well, you think about it.
I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to be a business
Yeah.
owner. Own shit, like own a bunch of real estate.
I want to own a bed and breakfast, is what I want. But more of like a little boutique hotel. But like I like run it. I'm like the face of it. People are like, oh, that's the guy who runs.
I have to say, I saw this commercial for DoorDash, and I say I'm qualifying it because it seems like, yeah, a cliche, but like, I saw this commercial for DoorDash, and it was so off-putting because it was like people sitting in a park or people sitting in like natural situations, and then the graphic would be like, Cheesecake Factory! Like people who are doing other stuff, but then they're like, I want sushi, and it was so appalling to me of like, no, they're in the park, and they're like, clunk, like, this came to you.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, like, no, we're, like, to have a bed and breakfast, or to have, like, a street you get to be human and walk into, like, a mom and pop shop where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I just discovered this
But DoorDash is like
fabric, or I
mom
go
and
to...
pop.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, hippie, like, that thing that's cliche that people are like, I just want to walk to the shops. So, like, that's a very human thing.
Yo, yeah.
I'd like to get back to a place where we have like little neighborhoods and we have stuff that's like organic and natural.
Yeah.
Like pleasing.
I do that.
Small communities. That's what I think of
That's-
when you say you want your apple orchard, you want your...
Yeah, but that's my
bed and
whole life.
breakfast.
That's like this neighborhood. We take bike rides. Sometimes we'll pick the kids
the
up at
best.
school
You're
on
already doing
bikes.
it.
Yeah.
You're already
I know
doing
the
it.
people in my coffee shop. I'm there all the time. I know the owners.
You're already living your dream. You made it come true.
Well, it was great to have you.
Bye.
We're living our dream.
Great to have you. Living our dreams.
Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed Mary Lynn Rajskub. She's awesome. Go check out her podcast. Give her a follow on social media. She's the best, and she's got a very her podcast, man. She's got a different perspective on the world than most people, and she's not afraid to talk about it. So go give her subscribe to her podcast and give her a follow on social media. Talk to you guys next week.